So that shiny new game just came out, RIPOUT, and you want to know if it's worth your time, right? Well, let's take a look at the game for some first impressions. The game begins with a scene describing the backstory. While exploring space, humans met an alien species named the Spiral. So instead of fighting amongst themselves, they instead fight the aliens. Close to the feet, human scientists created the Cell. They can regenerate and have cybernetic arms. The Cell 1.0 mutates uncontrollably. They wage war with aliens and humans alike. Humanity loses the war and began evacuation of Earth. After that scene is a very small tutorial. You have a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, and a melee weapon. The primary weapon also has some sort of creature on it, simply called Pet. That's not a pet I'd want personally. The tutorial goes over several things that you'll come across, such as an enhancement station. Here it will always show 3 randomized enhancements that will be active during the current mission. You can come across several of these stations during a single mission. Shooting your pet at an enemy removes the primary weapon completely because the pet is the primary weapon. It'll return shortly after, and it has a moderate cooldown for that function. The bigger monsters are a bit of a bullet sponge, but aiming for the head will reduce its health the quickest. Sometimes you'll find chests with ammo and health and stuff like that, but honestly, I didn't find those that frequently. Another cool thing with your pet, if you send it as certain smaller creatures, it'll return with them, and that smaller creature is now a temporary weapon that you can shoot. After the short tutorial, you get into the shuttle and it's over. The shuttle will bring you back to the main spaceship, which acts as your base. There's a mission table to select your missions, and once selected, all you have to do is head back to the shuttle to begin the mission. The cockpit area can take you to different sectors once you unlock them. The journal station, I think, just tells you information. It was empty when I looked at it at the start, and I never cared to look at it again. The crafting station is where you can craft weapons, mods, and armor, but it seemed pretty limited to begin with. You can unlock schematics from missions though. The weapons station, which is right across from the crafting station, is where you equip your weapons or mods. There was also a resurrection station, which gave me a free life if I happened to go down. The locker is where you can view and equip your current armor. Upstairs you can spin a wheel to win items like schematics. I didn't have enough currency at the time for it though. After looking around the main hub a little more, I got into the shuttle and began the next mission. I ended up going down and I didn't realize how much damage the enemies did. I used that self-revive though, quite handy. Basically, you just walk through ship hallways, fight enemies, and locate your mission. Once you finish your mission, you get back on the shuttle and go back to base. Back at base, you can craft weapons, upgrade them, or whatever you like to do. Then you select another mission and go back out. Right away on the second mission, I could tell that all of these missions were going to be fairly identical, in the sense that the environment is always in a ship and it looks mostly the same from each mission. The enemies are very underwhelming, and there's usually about 6 to 8 of them maximum at a time, but usually less. There could be more sometimes, I'm unsure, but the numbers were always quite low. I was honestly a little bored by the second mission, as it was very repetitive and it just looked and felt too similar to the first mission. Sometimes the hallways felt empty even. There really needs to be more enemies, I feel like. After the second mission, I unlocked the next sector, so I tried that out. That caused another scene, and that's about a lead to a refugee ship, but it's in another sector of the galaxy. The uncontrollable mutation that the humans escaped Earth from somehow got on some of the refugee ships, so it's unknown how many survived. Finding the sanctuary will help figure out how many humans did survive though, and I think that the sanctuary is the main goal here, and I think that won't be till the end of the game if I were to guess. In the new sector, it's much the same, though this time back in the main hub, I went upstairs and tried the prize wheel because I had enough points. I got a beetle body armor schematic. So each mission felt pretty similar to me. I mean, sure, I came across a couple new monsters, and I'm sure there's others I haven't seen yet, but it just feels so repetitive. There's not really a horror aspect or even really a scary aspect to this game. Maybe I'm just being too harsh, but it just felt so bland. I'm pretty mixed on this game. The pet gun is pretty cool. I like sending it to attack enemies. The graphics are good, and the overall level design isn't bad either, but I feel like it's lacking in just several areas. The objectives, the story, which there was only 2 scenes explaining everything so far, the horror or scary aspect as a whole, and the enemies themselves. The enemy part was the most disappointing. It's not so much that the enemies are bad, it's more that there's so few of them in each level. It really emphasizes what this game's lacking. I don't dislike this game, but I don't particularly enjoy it either. This game lands somewhere in the middle for me. Mixed feelings all around. This game also has an online co-op mode, but I only played solo. Perhaps the co-op mode is more enjoyable than the single player experience. I don't know. That's my personal opinion though. Whether or not this is your type of game, I'll see you on the next one.